Welcome to episode 112 of the Muck Podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary, you have so much to share.
I do have so much to share. Let's start with some good stuff before I light my house on fire with what I'm about to fucking say here. I went to the caucus last weekend.
So the state. I want to hear everything.
So Tina and I are involved in the county. We're on the executive board of the county LGBTQ caucus for the Democrats. And this weekend I had the opportunity to join our president and executive producer, Alfredo, at the state caucus winter conference in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is such a great city. Although I never left the hotel. I never left it. But
you had so much going on that you didn't have to leave it.
No, everything was right there. But I got to meet so many incredible people. I spent a lot of time with Todd Delmay, who's running for Florida House.
Yes.
What an interesting guy. I mean, what a life. He is really just incredible. And he's looking at me in the eyes and he goes, "What about you? Tell me about you." And I was like, "Where are you from?" He said Michigan, and I was like, "Yeah, I knew you were from Florida. I know how genuine you look at someone and how kind you are."
Yeah.
But what a great guy! I mean, that's going to be a very interesting race. And the way that the redistricting is working out, it looks like my friend Hillary Cassell might be running against Todd Delmay and Clay Miller. So it's going to be a really
all good people.
All good people.
All good people.
And that's what I was kind of thinking when he was telling me about what was happening in the redistricting. I was like, well, you know, any one of these people get in, it'll be great.
It will, I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Whoever of riches in that district, you know.
I mean, whoever wins, that would be a great person.
Yeah.
And it's hard as someone for us who know multiple people running in a race to be to have to choose.
I know it's difficult.
Difficult.
I'm gonna move this a little bit.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
The other thing is the first night, Nikki Fried and Annette Taddeo both spoke at this cocktail hour. Also, the mayor of St. Pete, his name's Ken Welch. She's the first black mayor elected in the city of St. Pete, which, by the way, is a super progressive city.
Why isn't he coming on Lil Muck?
Yeah, I went up to him afterwards. I shook his hand. And I was like, "It's so nice to meet you." Blah, 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 whatever. Okay.
Ooh,
anyway, of course,
that's our segue.
Of course, I see Nikki Fried, and I walked up to her, and I was like, "Thank you so much." Now I've met her. She doesn't remember. She meets 20,000 people a day.
I know.
But I was like, "Thank you so much for running. This means so much to me. I have children who live here. I'm rooting for you." I said, "We want you to win."
We do.
She gets up and gives a speech, and not only
she's amazing. She's such
incredible.
a good speaker,
and she
has this fire.
Yeah,
she has this fire.
Yes, and here's the thing: the difference between Annette Taddeo's speech and Nikki Fried. And I don't want to give any tips away to the Annette Taddeo camp. I really don't. Honestly, what the fuck are you doing running? I don't get it. No money, no support. What are you doing? Okay.
It's just,
I mean, listen,
word on the street. Word on the street, we know what.
We know why she's running.
Yeah, we know.
But, whatever. Anybody can run, I guess. So, not that they should.
Yeah,
not that they should.
But at the end of the day, we're in a state that is on fire.
Yeah.
And you have to think about what is best for the state rather than what is best for yourself.
Right. So the difference between these two speeches was that Nikki Fried is incredibly positive and motivating and this is what I'm going to do when I'm governor. These are the things that I want to change. These are the things, right? And then Annette Taddeo gets up and she's like, oh, woe is me. Oh, this happened to me and this happened to me and this happened to me. And the crowd's like, oh, because we're Democrats.
Yeah.
And it's this backward, old fucking political thing to do to Democrats where you break their hearts and they go like this to you and then you get their vote. Yeah. And I'm sorry, stop with this bullshit.
They tug on the emotional strings.
What I need is someone who when I see someone speaking, by the way, the next night Val Demings got up and basically shit all over that room. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, she left her fucking mark everywhere.
Good.
Yeah, it was inspiring. And guess who spoke right before her? Charlie Crist. He was walking the room and I was talking to Alfredo. He comes walking up to Alfredo. I was like, "Babe!" fucking dip. Alfredo's like, and I'm like, "Nope, I am not shaking this motherfucker's hand." He gets up there to speak, and you could hear crickets. It was snooze fest, but people there love him because that's his area. St. Pete is his area.
I understand that. But again, we are in such a desperate situation. And can the Dems get together and say, listen, guys,
Yeah.
why don't we, it's early on.
Yeah.
Why don't we really throw everything under the candidate we know can win?
You mean plan?
And put all of that money to that. And really, because once like primaries hit, then after that, there's not a lot of time.
No.
You know what I mean? Where we could be utilizing so much time to getting a really great candidate elected.
Yeah. And also I wanted to say this before we continue, because there's going to be a lot more talk. That we're fucking 5 minutes in, but you need to get ready and just relax. Because I wanted to apologize. When I edit the podcast, the first 20 minutes, the last 3 or 4 weeks, is us talking about bills, dangerous bills, state of Florida, things like that. I get it if that bores you and you want to get to the story. Like, if you're trying to skip ahead. But we are sitting in a really dangerous legislative session in Florida, and these are the things that we are pissed and angry and we need to talk about.
And not to mention that a lot of these bills in Florida have parallel bills happening in other states, for those of you listening in other states. And if they don't have it in other states,
they will.
And this passes, then it's going to be possibly in your state. So when we rant about it here, it's so that you can go, oh my God, that's nuts. And so you can have your eyes open to what's happening in your state.
Absolutely.
Because they are ready to go.
Oh, yeah. And the flaws, like the flaws they found in the Texas one, they didn't put in Florida, right? Which was the vigilante bit of it.
Yes.
If you know somebody or you take somebody, you know somebody who drove someone to abortion, you can sue them and get money because they've done this criminal act. They took that out of the Florida bill, but that's the only thing that they took out of the Florida bill. So anyway, I got to see Val Demings, and of course, I said to her, I don't know if you remember, but you were on my podcast it was 2 women, my friend Tina and I, and we talked about riding motorcycles together, and she goes, oh! She like grabbed my hand, she's like, I remember! And I was like, oh my God. Tina? God.
I want her to win so bad, and she can do it.
Let me tell you. Here's the problem.
Has the perfect background.
I need her in a room in front of 5,000 people at a time.
Yeah.
You want to talk about motivating? I mean, I immediately got online and donated money. Like, I was on my phone as she's talking because we got to get Marco Rubio out. If there's nobody else who needs to get out more than Marco Rubio, he's doing so many dangerous fucking things. And DeSantis, so many dangerous things.
And he also does a lot of nothing, which is equally dangerous.
Yeah, that was so. There was a tweet that this guy Cam, I don't know his last name. He was part of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas kids that came out, were like part of that fight. And he put a tweet out. And he was like, it's so funny that like Marco Rubio and Rick Scott like made a whole press conference and declared this whole remembrance of the Parkland shooting, like the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas tragedy. He said, he goes, that's nice. It's a piece of paper that's like, here's this remembrance.
Nothing has
changed. But you've done literally 0 votes or any sort of impact that would stop gun violence in this country.
Yeah, that's the first thing on my little note is MSD, no changes, because we did this day of service. We have this day of service, this day of remembrance that, I guess in the past couple of years there hasn't been school on that day. And now there's this day of service and love. And we did all these activities. And, all these activities are great. And my son, who is 12, said, yeah, like, and I get it from his point of view as a kid. He's like, will we ever have Valentine's Day, like as Valentine's Day? And he's like, instead, shouldn't we be learning about like gun laws so that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we do that? Like, and he's not wrong.
No, I appreciate the effort and the time. Like, I appreciate the idea behind it, but it's performative. Like, there's a lot of things like that we do to make ourselves feel better.
Right.
When really in reality, it's not doing anything to help or change or stop
this
from continuing.
And the dad of
Manuel Olivier. Oh my God, Tina. Oliver. It's Oliver, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah.
I love him. I want him on the podcast. Oh my God, I want him in my dining room talking to him. It's funny because of the Parkland parents, they all, if they're still involved, they are involved in a way that's different than the other. Yes. His is in action. His is in protest. He climbs this crane or whatever it was.
It's all like the civil disobedience.
And he hung that banner of his son's face.
Beautiful face.
My God. It was incredible.
It's going to make me cry because he's so heartbroken.
Yeah. And I wonder too.
I mean, they're all heartbroken. Yeah. But like he is taking this grief and he's like putting it in everybody's face. Yeah. And he hasn't stopped. And I think you need to see that.
Yeah. But I gotta tell you, I'd be like that. I'd be on top of every fucking tower.
Oh my God.
You can imagine. And you never forget who my children are. My child is. Just like we did that. You did that. The mayor of Nashville.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I just want people to say my kid's name. Like,
say my kid's
this is
name.
like, do not forget. Like, I couldn't name a Sandy Hook kid. You know what I mean? Like, that was so long ago.
I know.
And those parents are still fighting too.
They're still fighting. And I've said this before, but like, you know, a lot of times when it's, what is it going to take? Like, if it didn't, like Sandy Hook, those are babies. And I still remember reading, and this is horrible and a trigger warning, but I remember reading the article because of the gun that he used on those tiny bodies. Like, the damage that it did to those little babies' bodies. Like, if that didn't make people say, what the hell are we doing in this country? Like, I don't know what else can. Like, I mean, they were like 5 and 6. They were babies.
I know.
And these other kids were babies too. They're high school kids. They're equally babies.
Please, they're I tell that to my kids all the time. Oh, my son said this to me when I turned 18, and I was like, and what?
You're still a baby.
Yeah, you're still a tiny baby.
Oh my God.
My last thing from the conference that I'll bring up, and I thought was very interesting, because we had talked about it Friday night. We were up hanging out in a room with some guys, and then it came up Saturday during the conference, like the classes. And as an ally, my job is to sit down. For me, in my opinion, is to sit down, shut up, and just listen.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Except this one time, I got up to ask a question, and it's that there was one person in particular just kept talking about, and she was amazing. Her name is Robin Witt, and she was one of the panelists, and she was talking about. She really went in hard every time she got up to speak. At one point, she got up to ask a question, and she said, "It's really difficult as a trans woman to stand in this room that is majority older white cisgender gay men, knowing that they all fought for our rights, but they left trans people behind." And I was like, damn, she fucking just dropped it. And I was like, this is what we hear all the time.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's hard for me to get past that. And I totally understand that. And then when she was on the panel, she brought something up like this again, like old versus young, and how the party needs to progress and move forward. And that means passing the baton, passing over, like acknowledging these things that you did. And so I got up and said this because we had talked about it the night before. And that is that younger LGBTQ folks don't really understand how that fight was.
Yeah.
But they know that there's people who are left behind. And so there needs to be some sort of reconciliation between, like, we left you behind so that we could move forward.
Right.
People don't understand trans folks. It's just now a thing that people are starting to understand because their children are coming out as trans, just like 40 years ago when everybody started coming out of the closet.
Right.
Like, people are starting to understand it. And so they left trans folks behind, just like white women left black women behind when they wanted to vote, get the right to vote.
Right.
It's what people do to go forward and
but they need to
I don't know,
reconcile
legitimacy. I don't know what it is, but they have to acknowledge that they did that. And it makes older white cisgender gay men very uncomfortable. But that's exactly why you need to say it.
Yes.
You know?
Be uncomfortable and then let's keep moving forward.
I loved those conversations.
But
there was still, you know, it's still the Democratic Party, so there's still a lot of like, rah, rah, rah. This one white woman got up and she was like, come on, if Georgia can do it. I was like, bitch, please.
Georgia had a lot of...
I mean, that's on the backs of black women for a decade. And they had a plan. And they said, fuck the Democratic Party here. We're going to organize ourselves and get this done. And that's what they did.
And they did it. The Democratic Party, they did it.
Yeah, they didn't use the Democratic Party. So you can't sit inside of an organization that has zero fucking, whatever. Also, one other thing that I thought was funny, this cutie patootie came down, and he was the representative for the National Democratic Party, and he gets up and he's like, "Here's all the things we're gonna do to win in 2020 the midterms, right?" And he's got all these bullet points. The line to say something to this kid was like 12 deep. Why? And they was grievance after grievance. It's like, where's the party in Florida?
Good.
They're not giving us money. What the fuck? And I was like in the back room going,
good. And so they sent the lamb to slaughter.
Yes,
what the Democratic
I was like,
Party
this poor cute baby.
They sent the lamb to slaughter.
Oh my god,
He probably went back traumatized.
Yeah, it's like holy shit. So that was good.
Oh my god.
The other thing I want to bring up, which is amazing, let me just put some good stuff in here, is that our friend, our guest on Little Muck, our double guest on Little Muck, Emmanuel George, an absolutely fantastic week. And they, in the city of Hollywood, declared
they have
February 16th Emmanuel George Day. And I was so fucking thrilled for him, man. I was so excited for him.
It's amazing.
He's amazing.
It's amazing.
Then,
I can't wait to see. I feel like he's going to do so, like, what he's doing here, I can just picture him doing this, like, across the United States.
He needs to be national, like, blown up.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that I thought was amazing is in his stories that day, he was, he had just gotten this award. He was outside talking, and he was like, hey, it's Emmanuel George Day, blah, blah, blah. He's like, and, he was just so
humble and happy.
He's so happy. And he said, this is what Emmanuel George Day is. Reflect on your life. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What are your dreams? Let's go do some work.
So
blah, blah, blah.
Beautiful.
I was like,
beautiful.
How is this person even alive in my life? How do I know this person? Like, he is so fucking cool and like so incredible.
But
he's incredible.
And we said it before, but inside and out, like such an incredible, just like the best
that
kind
smile,
of
honey.
soul.
That smile.
I know.
Oh, he's a cutie. He's a cutie. He's like a Daryl Campbell, another cutie patootie that you just want to be like, give me a hug. Okay, so wait, what was this note that I wrote?
I have
so let's get into it. I'm gonna let's start the legislative talk with
Repro?
This tweet that I told you about from Cindy Polo, our friend, our love, former representative from District 103. She writes, "The Florida House has come for women. The Florida House has come for the LGBTQ community. The Florida House has come for Black history, voting rights, immigrant children, public education, unions. And the GOP has made it clear that it has come to destroy the Florida House." That is, without a doubt, what has been happening the last few weeks in Florida, last few years really, but the last few weeks in particular have been very disgusting, dangerous, not necessary.
And with the repo rights, and I know that you saw this tweet. I saw it on Instagram first from, I think it was I don't remember who put it out, but it was the young college girl getting like dragged out. Like, they're not letting people speak. Mm-hmm. And I said something to someone in my life this week, and I referenced DeSantis as a dictator. Mm-hmm. And this person, just to try to get to me, was like, oh, you need to check your privilege. You don't know about dictator. And I said, let me list all the things that this person has done, which is similar to the list that you read from Cindy Polo. And the person was like, oh, well, I'm a white male, and so I guess none of this stuff happens to me. You should try it sometime.
Oh.
And I know, like this person was trying to be funny.
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you.
But it's not funny. I just don't understand it. And with the repro rights, that they did it in the dark of night.
Yeah.
Right after midnight. Like, they're so shady.
I had to get off Twitter that night, and I was like, shady. I got to get off Twitter because I kept seeing updates about what was happening, and I was like, this is fucking.
And we knew that it was going to happen, but
but
like,
the
here
worst
we
part.
are.
So here we are. The 15-week abortion ban has passed the Florida House, and it will go to the Senate next. And in the Senate, we already know what's going to happen because what the Democrats try to do is add on amendments to make it safer for a rape victim or a victim of incest. They shot that down in the Florida House. Yeah. They shot it down in the Senate already. That's already not going to be added. So what they have done is they have just made life for women and girls and anyone else with a uterus in the state of Florida. They just made their lives 1,000 times more dangerous. Do you know the closest place we need to go to get an abortion if it's after 15 weeks is North Carolina?
Wow.
That's where we're going to have to travel to. Now, who has the funds to do that? Who has the time to do that?
And what if it's a kid who's 16, 17, 18,
How are they
19,
getting there?
20?
Tell me.
21 years old. Give me a break.
So
I don't understand. And the whole baby thing drives me nuts because it's not a baby. Mm-mm. Like, go to science class, read a book, and you will see that it's not a baby.
Right.
And this rhetoric is so dangerous, but that is the rhetoric now. That's the only word that they use. It's not this cute, chubby little baby with angel wings on the back floating on a cloud. It's cells.
Yeah. And it's none of your business.
And it's no one's business.
It's none of your... What you have done, the Florida GOP and the GOP in general, they have inserted themselves in a doctor's office where you have private conversations with your fucking doctor. Yes. And this is the party of stay out of people's lives, stay out of my bedroom, stay out of my house.
No big government.
Yeah.
Right.
Except when it comes to women and their
my
fucking
body,
bodies.
my choice with a mask, but like you can just screw it.
And I don't know if our male listeners actually get how fucking terrifying this is and how dangerous this is for women.
Because they're not
you have no idea.
anything.
And I don't want to like harp on the rape part because I know any woman should be able, or any person with a uterus should be able to get an abortion whenever they want to.
Yes.
Okay? It's regardless of how they got pregnant in the first
Correct.
place. But we don't control that, right? Like I could be taking my garbage out and someone grabs me, or my daughter walking to fucking school. Okay? Right. And that could happen to her. And then what are you telling me? I got to go take her in front of a judge to find out? And then, by the way, that was last year's legislation. Yeah. This year is fuck you.
This year is nothing.
I'm sorry. But this is incredibly... So here's my
well, but we have that other... There are people like that one Republican who was like, you can't get pregnant... if you get raped, like pregnancy only happens like if it's consent. It's like, what kind of cuckoo nonsense?
Well, that's what Anna Eskamani said to us,
putting out in the world.
Anna Eskamani said it is frightening when you sit in these committees and you realize how little these legislators know about reproduction of in our body. Like they don't know.
I don't even think they know where the egg is. I don't even think they know.
Honey, they can't find the clit.
Yeah.
Okay, they can't find that. I mean, this is the problem. Is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. So here's what I want to say. And I'm going to direct this right to my state representative, Chip LaMarca, who I have been mentioning on Twitter all week, and who I hope dies a very painful death. Hey, Chip.
Bye.
How are you? How are you doing? I'm very sorry that you're so little. It's not my fault. It's not Tina's fault.
No.
It's not any LGBTQ kid's fault in this state that you're tiny. It's your parents. Like, go check with them.
Just check
you grew this tall and it stopped growing.
Oh.
You have little Vienna sausage fingers. You have probably the tiniest dick on the planet. And you want to take it out on us. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. You're angry. You're angry. And you're drunk with power. I totally understand.
Napoleon complex much?
I totally get it. I get why you're so upset. And you want to take it out on us. But it's not my fault. You know what I mean? Why don't you come to your senses? You fucking horrible excuse for a human being.
Yeah.
And go fuck yourself.
Ooh.
Okay? Why don't you go fuck yourself? I'm fucking over you. And let me tell you something else I heard this weekend at the caucus. You know what Chip doesn't like?
What doesn't he like?
Chip doesn't like it when people point out that he's anti-LGBTQ.
Oh.
He doesn't like it when people point out, because if you go to his Twitter, he's like, sports, let's pay the college sports. He mentions nothing about how he stands for this shit. He mentions nothing that he was proud.
That's a
he
coward.
Was proud to vote for this.
That's a coward. He knows where he lives. He knows where he lives in South Florida.
Yeah, you know what equality
and he's
Florida,
a coward.
Do you know what Equality Florida does? Anytime there's a way they can drag Chip LaMarca, they go, here's all the people who voted for this, and they put his picture up, and he was at some sort of conference, and he was angry. He came up to him, he's like, how could you include me in this, and all this stuff. He doesn't like it when you say to him, you're a fucking bigot.
Yeah. You're
a bigot, and you fucking don't give a shit about women. Fuck you. You don't give a fuck about people here. And I'm going to tell you something fucking else.
Oh,
If I see one more fucking Democrat in this county shaking that motherfucker's hand, Michael Udine, Michael fucking Udine, the mayor of Broward County, a Democrat, fuck you too. You uplift this piece of shit who votes against my fucking rights and votes against LGBTQ children. Right. Fuck you, Michael Udine. Right up your fucking ass. Fuck you. Fuck Chip LaMarca. I refuse to stop calling him out. We all need to drag him. It needs to be trending on Twitter that Chip LaMarca is a fucking bigot and hates women. Fuck you. I will never again be quiet about this.
They need to ice him out.
Ice him the fuck out in Broward.
Because there's no place for him here.
Do it. What are you fucking waiting for? And people like Dean Trantalis and Michael Rayner, who for years loved to be Chip LaMarca LaMarca's friend. Loved being Chip LaMarca's friend because what? He got on the commission 20 fucking years ago in Broward and voted for same-sex couples to have benefits. Now all of a sudden he's a friend of the LGBTQ community, but he goes up to Tallahassee because you all fucking sat by him and held his hand for years and allowed him to stay in power as a fucking Republican in this county.
And didn't support Democratic candidates who were going against him in races.
Didn't come out for Emma Cullum. Didn't come out for fucking Linda Thompson-Gonzalez. Refused to take a side because Chip LaMarca's your friend. You are fucking holding all of his votes in your hands. You are fucking responsible.
Complicit.
All of you are responsible. Any fucking person who calls him a Democrat in this goddamn county and has held that motherfucker's hand, you are fucking responsible for us losing our rights.
There we go.
It all fucking works together. This is not, it's all the same. It's, what is that called? What is that called? You know, it's all in the same pot. Like, it's all the same thing. It's fucking years. It's decades of allowing this tiny, minuscule, tiny dick fucking midget to run around this county as if he's important.
Woo!
Fuck Chip LaMarca. Fuck you.
Ditto.
And I hope, I pray to God. I pray to God. Because by the way, Chip's Catholic, so, you know.
Oh.
Right up to you, Chip.
Oh.
I pray to God that this will all come back on you. The karma will come back on you. And you know what that karma would be? He doesn't get reelected, and everybody forgets who you are.
Yes.
Everybody forgets who you are. And so shit LaMarca can go fuck himself. I hope you, I will give.
Please, I want him.
I'm
to
giving
hear
$1,000, $10,000 to the fucking person who runs against this piece of shit.
Woo!
How can we not get him out?
I don't understand.
What I mean?
But there's a lot of Democrats, and we've talked about this before, who are like, I grew up with Chip. I know Chip.
Great.
But guess what?
We know him too.
You want to be friends with Chip and go have a beer with him? Great. Don't vote for him.
No.
Don't vote for him, because then you can't sit there and say that you are a Democrat and that you care about any of these issues if you check the box next to that man's name. It's not right.
Nope.
It's not right, because you and the other elite, these are elite Democrats.
Yeah.
These aren't, the middle of the road Democrats. These are Democrats with money who are friends with him.
And they do.
And they don't care because their money's still protected, and they're like, well, it's a local election, blah, blah, blah. No.
These votes don't affect them. Michael Youngkin and Dean Trentalis do not have uteruses, and they're not children trying to play sports in this state. Also, if Dean Trentalis says anything about don't say gay, I'm going to blast him. If he fucking says anything that this bill is harmful, I'm going to go, well, you've protected Chip LaMarca.
Right, and he voted for it. I mean, you're right.
What do you want from me?
Start calling people out.
Fuck them.
And I get, like, you want to have this, like, bipartisan, like, relationships. However, you as a Democrat should be supporting Democratic candidates running against this guy, and you should be able to call him out. If you're friends with someone and they're doing something shitty, you say to them, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You're harming people in our community.
And that's the thing.
Like,
are they
friends
or they're political friends, right?
They just want money. So then they're just as gross as every other person.
They play that fucking game. And guess what?
This is a game with people's
Chip keeps
lives.
getting reelected, and he keeps getting support, so he thinks
he's
okay. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants because he's still going to get reelected. He's still going to have his buddies he can go fucking have lunch with down by the port, whatever the fuck he's doing.
Go play golf.
Yeah.
Or whatever other, like, rich white people do.
I mean, they probably have to hold his hand across the street. Because he's such a baby.
Ooh.
Oh, we got to get into this.
This is my favorite.
Oh, wait, where are we? We got
I have a present.
Oh my God. So Annette, one of our wonderful fans, sent us a huge box that we have to open.
We're so excited.
You know, and Annette is a super fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, our Odd Pods fam. Who, by the way, keeps saying, Hillary doesn't listen after the commercial. I do listen. I listen to every second of that show. Please stop saying that, y'all.
Wait,
I am Nick and Hillary probably stops listening. No, I'm here for the Geek Talk, and I'm here for Deep Space Nine.
Ooh.
Okay, and I'm especially here for the Toy Time with Joe revamps on their songs. Nick keeps like changing the song, and he keeps re-singing it. It's mwah, I love it. All right, let's open this. Look at this big box.
Ooh, we are so excited.
Let's see what's in it. Ooh.
Oh,
there's a note. You want to open that?
Okay, here's a note. Oh my God. This is our first time ever getting anything in the mail.
Fan mail.
Oh my God. Hillary and Tina.
That's me.
What can I say? You guys make my day. After listening, I feel like I have been day drinking with my best pals and educated on all things shady in politics. I've been meaning to send these candles. I truly love them. I hope you like them too. I know I sent cookies to the Keeping Up with the Kardashian guys, but they are only one day away with UPS. If I'm ever in Florida, I will come bake for you.
Girl,
hugs and kisses.
Come be on the podcast. Look at this.
There's
a whole thing.
Oh.
The candle's called Brains Beauty Badassery.
Oh my
Infused
God.
with a motherfucking
look at
trifecta.
This. Malicious.
Oh my God. She's
Look
amazing.
at this. This box contains pure maliciousness. I am for all of this.
Me too.
I'm opening up one. I'm going to open up one.
But also, don't be afraid to send cookies.
There's a sticker. There's a sticker. There's a sticker.
Nice.
Oh my God, this is coronavirus prevention. Nothing new, morons. These are so fun.
Oh, Annette, you're such a sweetheart. Thank you so much.
I don't think anything could have made my day more than this.
Oh my God, I can't wait. You know I'm lighting candles all over the place.
I'm gonna take a bath and have my candles going. Ooh.
Float on that cloud, bitch.
Yeah. I like to float on clouds on the weekends.
Me too. Me too. All right, we are
start.
31 minutes.
Oh shit! And our battery's gonna die.
Oh,
our battery's gonna die.
Let's go.
Okay.
Oh my God, Tina.
All right, I think I go.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Okay, so today I'm gonna tell you the story of Bruce's Beach.
Oh, what's this?
So, after purchasing land on Manhattan Beach, California in 1912, Willa and Charles Bruce created a popular resort for local Black residents.
Ooh.
But
damn it, white people.
When white neighbors complain, the city council uses eminent domain to steal their property.
Holy shit!
Yes.
This still happens. This happened. This happened down the street with the city.
Oh my God! Oh my
God!
Like
2 years ago.
So our story takes place in Manhattan Beach, California, which is located in southwest Los Angeles County.
Okay.
And as Nathan Masters reported for KCET, the city was established in 1897 as Potienza Townsite. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. But the name changed in 1902, and it was named after the New York borough in Manhattan because one of the developers, this guy John Merrill, was from that area, and so they called it Manhattan Beach. And I also want to note that prior to the city being established, the land belonged, like all the land here, to indigenous folks, specifically the Tongva tribe. And according to the KCET article, the developers saw this area of beach as a potential for like a resort town, but for families. So they were pretty strict about like what they permitted there, like no booze, no bars, no saloons. You know, they had restrictions on bathing suits because it was like, you know, the early 1900s. So the other thing, because it's the early 1900s, was there was a restriction on who could move into Manhattan Beach.
Okay.
And specifically, Blacks and other ethnic minorities were not permitted because of segregation and racism. But as KCETV noted, developer George Peck set aside 2 blocks of land on the beach side for people of color. So there's all this land, and then there's this strip of land that's like, okay, people of color can purchase land. And an article found on California beaches explained that Peck was one of the few developers who offered Blacks an opportunity to buy land, and he even built a pier at that time that Blacks could access to. And it was his actions that allowed Black families to buy property and start building a community in Manhattan Beach. But as I was doing more research, because it sounds like, oh wow, this guy seems maybe progressive for the time to even allow this, but a historian, Allison Rose Jefferson, notes that, quote, George Peck was not the white savior of the Black people to allow this community to begin. It misrepresents what happened. And she believes that the Bruces really should be acknowledged as founders of Manhattan Beach just as much as Peck and these other people. So she wants to make that clear, and I wanted to make sure I noted that. So in 1912, Charles and Willa Bruce were the first Blacks to purchase land on Manhattan Beach, which is like super exciting.
Yeah.
And according to Easy Readers, Charles worked on the Pacific Union Railroad, and he may have been able to spread the word about the resorts because of his work. So like people, you know, like he's in this job where he sees people and people are, you know, moving about, and he can get that. And Willa, his wife, she ran the resort. She managed it all, and from what I read, these two were like the dream team. Like they were like really established this place, and it came to represent what a free life could be for Black people.
Yeah.
And Willa Bruce told the LA Times at the time, wherever we have tried to buy land for a beach resort, we have been refused. But I own this land and I'm going to keep it.
Damn.
So she was like, they got this land, and it's so great. So in the beginning, Willa started off like renting bathing suits. She sold drinks to beach goers from like a little cottage. And then KCET notes that they then expanded and they built this 2-story resort. It had a dance hall, it had the fishing pier, and it just sounds amazing.
Yes.
So I was just like thinking, you know, most beaches didn't allow Blacks.
Right.
So this is this wonderful opportunity to have a getaway spot and let folks enjoy the beauty of the California coast. And Dwayne Yellowfeather Shepherd, a descendant of the Bruces, said in an interview with NPR that, quote, Bruce's Beach was a place where people could have social functions. You had Black entertainers, actors and actresses, jazz artists, Black politicians, as well as business owners and socialites. So it was like this happening place.
I love this.
It's like, and the pictures, like some of the pictures of people, it just looks like just fun and happy and wonderful. But then white people had to ruin the party again.
Jesus.
And as time went on, the property values start rising, right? This is a beach front property. We're in LA County. It's a sweet spot. And according to the California Beaches site, it's a 2-minute walk to the seashore. So like this is primo real estate.
Yeah. Well, they're not dumb. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. And LA has cited Miriam Matthews, LA's first Black librarian who wrote about Bruce's Beach. She said, quote, you would take the red car down and spend a day on the beautiful beach or rent a room if you desired. Sundays were reserved for school gatherings and families, and the resort offered a getaway overlooking the Pacific Ocean. So it's this lovely just place, and I love that it was like, oh, Sundays is like the kids can come from school, and like this family and community. Just sounded wonderful. But several reports that I read noted that whites started getting hostile, and they were really hostile from the very beginning.
I'm sure they weren't,
And they didn't like that the Bruces gained more and more success with this amazing resort, and eventually the Klan gets involved.
What?
Because why not?
The Klan's in California?
Why not? The Klan is in California. They're everywhere.
Do they wear like surfer shorts under those robes? They have like Ray-Bans on with those hoods.
Oh my God, they're so gross.
Like the Beach Boys, but hateful.
Yeah, right. I mean, they've destroyed everything everywhere. So why not out west too?
Jesus.
And the Klan did what it always did. It used intimidation tactics. And Shepherd, in his interview with NPR, detailed some of those tactics. Quote, they slashed tires. They burned mattresses under the porch of the resort. They tried to blow up a gas meter of one of the residents here.
Damn.
They had 24/7 phone campaigns and made threats against Willa and her family. And NPR also reported that they barricaded the roads and just made things challenging for the Bruces and other Black families who had homes in Manhattan Beach. And NBC Los Angeles reported that the Klan would put up these like fake 10-minute parking signs and then like let the air out of people's tires. Like they just were like, it was constant, aggravation just to upset people.
You know what's so interesting about the Klan? Does anybody work?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? This is your job to just torture people.
Yeah, it's just
like, get a fucking life.
Get a life.
I'm sorry nobody's touching your dicks. Like, go fuck or something. Find something to do.
Yeah, you got the sheets. Go lay down on the sheets somewhere.
Lay the sheet down and have some fun. What are you doing?
What are you doing, Klan?
Angry motherfuckers.
All right, so the major incident, when the Klan and other racist white assholes couldn't get the Bruces to leave with all of these intimidation tactics, the city of Manhattan Beach gets involved. So they turn to the law to try to get rid of the Bruces and close down the resort. So the city council made up of elected officials claimed that they need that very stretch of land where the Bruces resort was, along with the properties of 4 other Black families. And they need it for a, quote, public park. Right? So they're like, we need this, we need a public park. And in 1924, they used what was called eminent domain to steal the land from the Bruces and kick them off the property. So just to offer a definition for listeners who may not know what eminent domain is, it's the process by which the government can seize private property with proper with proper compensation.
Never that though.
But without the owner's consent.
Yeah.
So like the owner can't say anything about it. They can take that property and they're supposed to, pay.
So what they do, how they do that though, is that like, let's say they did this here. So they were going to take somebody's property and like, okay, well, here's a commercial property that's similar in size. It's down the street. Like they look for a comparable price, but it's never what it's really supposed to be. Like if this person were to sell that privately to another seller, they would get 10 times what the city's going to offer them, or just give them to take it.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's disgusting.
It's so gross. So according to the History Advisory Board, the Bruces saw this as the city wanting to, quote, banish them, the black property owners, from said city, and more particularly from that portion of the said city which is nearby, continuous to the Pacific Ocean, and this in order to entirely free the said city from their presence because of the fact that they are black, and that these defendants allege that the said proceedings are arbitrary, oppressive, and inspired by racial prejudice.
Wow.
So they seize the property and they destroy it.
What? The whole building?
Yeah, they demolish it.
Oh my God!
Yeah. They demolish the property. And did they build the supposed park that they were supposed to put there?
Motherfuckers.
No.
Wow.
In fact, the land sat unused and empty for decades.
Oh my God.
For decades.
Why
so there's
would they
this
do
thriving, wonderful community, and they demolish it and just let it sit empty because they're just disgusting people.
Wow.
So in 1956, they finally build the park. And according to LA County website, a bunch of land transfers happened. So that land was, it shifted from this owner to that owner, and eventually it was acquired by LA County in 1995. So, and the LA County Lifeguard Admin Building is now on the spot where the resort used to be.
Okay.
So they have a building there, and it's owned by LA County.
Mm.
So, of course, there's no charges or anything like this in this case. However, the Bruces did try to recoup some damages, and they lost everything, their entire fortune, because of the city. And the NPR article that I read reported that the Bruces wanted payment for the value of their property and damages.
Yes.
They asked for back then $120,000, which is about $1.9 million today. And the city gave them $14,400, which is about $238,000, which is a huge difference.
Jesus.
And as of last year, in 2021, that property was worth about $75 million.
Oh my God.
So
that's generational wealth.
Intergenerational wealth.
That's
right.
And
that's the thing. Like,
that family could have been a prominent family.
Come on.
And had jobs. Had a place like this is a business in your community.
Give me a break.
Wow.
And it's when people talk about how, like, oh, we've moved past it, let's stop talking about all this, like, there are still ramifications today because of those actions.
Yep.
In 1927, the NAACP staged a swim-in at the beach. Folks participating in the protests were arrested because they're like, we want this beach back, right? So, like, they tried to do that. They all fought the charges, and it resulted in the beach being open to all without restriction, according to the California Beaches article. So, before it was, hey, this stretch of land, and then they take the land, and then it's like, oh, black people can't come here. So they do this sort of protest, and then they're like, okay, fine, blacks can use the beach as well. Intimidation kept happening up until the 1930s. Folks were getting falsely arrested, crosses being burned near the homes of black residents. Because remember,
what the fuck?
What happened was there's this resort, there was the other property, but other families were moving in, so it's this black community. But like the Klan didn't stop. It's like, it's not enough. It's not enough that you destroyed this amazing place. Like, you still have to bother people. Homes set on fire, more land loss, and it didn't stop until they ran most of the people out of Manhattan Beach. And in the early 2000s, Manhattan Beach elected its first black city council member, Mitch Ward, and he fought to rename the park from Park Cullican back to Bruce's Beach in 2006, and the change happened as reported by LAist. So he was able to get the name changed back to Bruce's Beach.
I mean, I appreciate that, but Jesus Christ.
But
how about some back money to this fucking family?
Here we go. I have some good news.
Okay.
So just last year in 2021, the Bruce family got their beach back.
You're kidding!
Yeah.
This is
amazing. This is amazing.
Oh, damn it, Tina.
According to NPR, California, under Governor Gavin Newsom, passed a law, which was Senate Bill 796, that returned the property to Bruce's descendants.
Wow!
And Newsom had this to say at a ceremony at Bruce's Beach, quote, "Today we're making history. I'm proud to be here, not just for the descendants of the Bruce family, but for all of those families torn asunder because of racism." And another great thing to come out of this is that activists are now trying to help other families. There's one organization which is called Where Is My Land that was founded by Kavon Ward that focuses on helping Black families reclaim stolen land. And Ward was instrumental in the quest to get the Bruces their land back. And she witnessed the racism in Manhattan Beach after moving there in 2010. And when she heard about Bruce's Beach, she wanted to do something to help.
She experiencing racism in 2010 in the same area. This is, I mean, it has never gone away, but like,
it's
crazy.
It's just crazy. This whole, so some points of interest. And I'd like to say that this is, you know, the only incident that, but like you said, you know, for centuries, our country has stolen land by hook or by crook through intimidation, fear, threats, manipulation of laws. And I feel like a broken record, but this is why we need to learn about our history. Another fact that I found about this story was that there was a connection to George Floyd. And Floyd's great-great-grandfather acquired 500 acres of land. And this is after his great-grandfather, after being enslaved, was freed, no access to education, couldn't read or write, right? But like the Bruces, whites stole his land using the law. And as a Black man, it would be hard for him to go up against a legal system without this education. He can't even read, you know, any of these documents, and who's going to represent him? How is he going to pay for it?
Jesus.
So many wondered what George Floyd's life would have been like if his family had kept that land and sold the wealth that it could offer for generations. And the same with this Bruce family, like you said, like for generations, this is wealth that's coming in, right? And when we look at like what's happening now, it's still prominent white families who are able to get their kids all the SAT tutors, get them into the best schools, get them into the best fraternities. And it's this cycle of wealth that continues. And you have people that still don't have access to it. You know, so it's stolen land. And this is where we need to talk about, when we talk about reparations, this is a place where if that land was stolen by law, whoever it is, those families who have that land, sucks for you, but you got to give that land back or you got to pay some money. Because you are living off of money on property that did not belong to you. It's not yours. It's not yours. God.
So good, Tina.
So I also found that some folks didn't even want an apology to be made regarding Bruce's beach. According to the New York Times, an ad was purchased anonymously. So people were like, you need to put an apology out to this family. And then, of course, there was a group of concerned citizens who were like, we don't need to give anybody an apology. And they put an ad out. There were a network of many, and the ad was placed in a local paper, the Beach Reporter, and that ad stated, quote, "We have been falsely accused of being a racist city."
Ooh, we got an ad out in the paper for that. They are upset.
Sorry.
They're upset.
If you gotta put an ad out, you're racist. Like, I mean, I'm sorry.
That's hilarious.
Oh, you can't hide from your past. You can't hide from
try to rewrite it.
Yes.
Which is what a lot of people do. Like states' rights is now what we're gonna have to teach children, right? Like we're gonna Civil War wasn't about slavery, it's about states' rights.
Yeah, give me a break.
It's so fucking bogus.
Stupid.
So
and like
stupid.
these beach residents can't stick their head in the sand.
Oh,
do you like that?
I love it. Actually, I love it.
All right, so this is the first time a property that has been taken has been returned.
Ooh,
this is the first time that they were able, and just imagine, especially like in the South. Imagine like if people are able to get their land back or able to get compensation.
Yeah.
So the NPR article that I read noted that research was being done by an organization called Land Loss and Reparations Research that estimates that about $300 billion in agricultural land was taken from Black farmers.
Oh my God.
Unjustly. $300 billion.
Oh my God.
And they note that many families don't have the legal recourse to do much because the statutes of limitations have ended. Bruce's Beach was different. The way that they were able to deal with Bruce's Beach is that the city owned that land and not a person, like not an individual.
Right, like if this house was built
right.
on some land that was stolen from a black farmer, which by the way, across the street was a farm. This is all farming area. Then that would be me. I'd have to somehow figure out how I have to give this back or I have to pay them to keep it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But in a city, it was easier to take it.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
maybe
and the government stepped in. Like, you had the governor, you had other people that were like, we want to make this happen.
I could just put a billboard in front that says I'm not a racist.
Yeah.
Would that work?
No.
Will you forgive me then? Fucking idiots.
While the Bruces did get their land back, they now want to fight for restitution over the loss of revenue. I mean, this is almost 100 years worth of revenue that this family has lost. So, the beach is worth the $75 million, but they also have decades and decades and decades and decades and decades of revenue that this family did not.
Yeah, it was a business. That was a business there. You know? It's crazy.
Yeah, so...
it's not just the property value. It's what they could have made if the business was still there.
Yes, I mean, and then again, looking to like the families, like what that could do for a family to have... I mean, that's the whole thing with intergenerational wealth. And that's why the people who have that money somehow think they're better than everyone and they don't owe anybody anything. But it's like, guess what? Guess what? Like, you're profiting off of stolen money. And like, you got to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. You got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So after they lost their property, the Bruces planned to hold what was called Bruce's Beach Closing Out Party. Mm-hmm. And it was scheduled for May 30th, 1927. And I tried to look, and there were no records indicating if that party was able to happen or not. But I love the idea that they wanted to have like one last bash at this place. And they worked, they saved, they created something amazing. And then it's taken like through no fault of their own. And the other thing that was sad is that they used a lot of their personal money. So they got that money, but they used that like to fight all these lawsuits. So they lost everything.
Jesus.
They lost everything. And then I was thinking, if all these farmers and the other folks who had been able to keep the land that rightfully belonged to them, like, what would America look like now?
Yeah.
What would America look like now
so
if
different.
It was
so
like
different.
Equal?
Yeah.
You know?
I know we do politics, the political power that blacks would have had is incredible.
I just feel like we could be in such a better place as a country.
Yep.
There was a plaque placed at Bruce's Beach that notes some of the history, and here's what it read. A founding father of Manhattan Beach, George Peck, quote, made it possible for the Bruces, a black family, to purchase and develop that land into a resort catering to people of color. It says that the city condemned the land owned by the Bruces and a handful of black families to build a park. It tells readers that in 2006, the Manhattan Beach City Council renamed the park to honor the Bruce family and hopes that the park can be a symbol of friendship, goodwill, and respect. All are welcome. So you can recall why Peck's name being on this would be very frustrating.
Yes!
I mean, this sign is like
his
garbage.
It's because of him that the family was able to do this? What the fuck?
Yes.
Yeah, why do white people always have to insert themselves in good things?
Like, just let it be
Get
about
the fuck
Bruce's Beach.
out! Get out of here!
So
nobody's interested in this.
There was a petition on change.org from a few years ago that noted that the plaque needed to be more honest and should call out the KKK for their role in the
Hello, yeah, we're talking about white people on the sign. Let's put them on there.
Yeah, if you're going to put them on there, put them on there.
Yeah, where was this name, George Peck? I mean, was he in a hood, or what's the deal with this guy?
Well, he's the guy that remember, like,
yes, but like,
who knows?
How involved was he? Was he helping this family? Like, he was part. Like, you can't tell me he was standing by doing something. He was doing nothing.
I don't know if he was just a developer. I don't know. But that's the story of Bruce's Beach.
Oh, very good, Tina.
Isn't that?
It's incredible. It's so frustrating.
And I feel like these are the stories that we need to hear, that we need to understand. It's part of our history.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's like, I don't know. It's been a while since I've heard this. Maybe I was like, maybe in the 90s, you would hear like, well, black people need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But it's like, you not only, everybody's free, right? They freed the slaves, and then everybody should have been pulling themselves up from the bootstraps, which a lot of black people actually did. But then white people came in and fucked and ruined it for people, you know, like Wilmington, you know, where there were.
Well, but that's the difference between equality and equity, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, it's there's no understanding and the loss of equity, and equity, as we know, money is an important thing.
Yeah, and it still occurs today. White women are paid like $1 less than white men for the same job. Black women are paid like $2 less than white men for a job. Black men are paid like it's just, or black men and then black women, and then it goes further and further down. And it's like we still are not at a place where, you know, everyone is on the same level. It just doesn't work that way. It's unfortunate. And, you know, you reap what you sow in this country.
And look where we are.
And they're still doing the same thing. Don't even think for a second that every single one of these bills that are in the Florida legislature, they affect people of color 10 million times more than they're going to affect me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's all about continuing to do this.
And that's why everyone has to, like, we all have to be on board for this. Yeah. It can't be just because it doesn't affect me, like, who cares? I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of that argument of, and we talked about it last time, of like, oh, like, I'm not into politics. Like, it's that apathy is harming people.
Yeah. But you know what's worse is that all these terrible bills pass and people go, oh, I didn't know that was happening. Like, do you not read a fucking paper? I read the paper every single morning. There is an article. Yeah. There was a front page yesterday about 15-week abortion ban on the front page of the Sun Sentinel. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you looking at? Kardashians? Like, what the fuck are you looking at? I don't understand.
Well, they're death scrolling on TikTok, but even on TikTok, you can end up in the political. Like,
I was gonna say that even on Twitter, like even, you know, he's probably my Twitter probably looks different than somebody else's Twitter. Which is why I had to throw my phone in the garbage on Friday night or whatever it was, Thursday night, because I was like, I can't look at another update about the abortion ban. It's just...
I'm on my TikTok, I'm on, like, you know, liberal TikTok, I'm on black TikTok, and I'm on teacher talk. Like, those are the three, like, and gay TikTok. Like, those are, like, that's what's all in my feed. Do you know the other thing? Which I love. You know, the other thing I want to tell you is that... So when a bill finally passes all of its committees and it gets to the House floor, whoever's the bill sponsor has to stand there and debate every question that they have about the bill, any question Democrats had or any problem they had. They say to the person holding the mic, who's the sponsor of the bill, "You're saying this, and this. What about this?" Usually the floor is full. Everybody's there. Not this time. Yeah. The only Republican on that floor was the sponsor of the bill, who somebody just handed that bill. Because they want to try and act like, oh, I didn't support it all the way.
Not one Republican, except that person, stayed on the floor to talk about the value of this fucking bill. There's also a video.
Cowards. There's you know what I mean?
There's also a video on my Twitter that I will share onto the Muck's Twitter of Chip LaMarca. They're all clapping that this bill is about to be voted on. Oh. And there's Chip standing there next to Sabatini, that fucking freaky motherfucker. That guy. And it's like, time to vote, and there's Chip. Ding!
Yeah, he hit the button. There it is.
You can't hide from film. Yeah. You can't hide from film. And it's out there. It's on the record.
It's on the record.
All right, listen, let's get...
It's so cowardly. These cowardly people, like, you want to pretend like you didn't vote for something.
My favorite thing...
It's so gross.
I gotta tell you, like, I am dying, and I know where his office is, so I'm gonna hang around. It's not down the street from my house. I'm dying to run into Chip LaMarca in public. I'm gonna embarrass him. I don't know if anybody will ever hear that rant. I don't know if it'll ever get back to him. I will send it to him personally. I don't give a fuck. I'll send you a link to the YouTube. Jump to minute 10.00.
I'll cut a clip and we'll just send it to him. I'm gonna cut a clip.
But I am dying to run into him in public because it will be one of those moments that will go viral. I will fucking embarrass him. He's so proud to walk around like he's the fucking king of District 93.
Nobody cares about you.
Nobody cares. And so I want to embarrass him. I want his parents to see it. I want his wife to see what a fucking coward. He's like a snail inside of a shell. Fuck you. I'm gonna fucking drag you all over the fucking street.
Let's do it.
You motherfucker. Ooh. I'm gonna make you cry for your fucking mom.
Oh, wow. God, I love this Hillary.
I had children here. You know what I mean? I have babies here. This is so fucked up what they're doing. No,
we are
so fucked up. I
can't. You know, we're in Florida, but oftentimes we talk a lot about, like, where would we go? Where can we go? Where can we go?
I'm getting out. I'm getting out. I'm telling you, we can do this on Zoom, bitch, because I'm getting the fuck out of here. We got to go.
I thought we were starting a commune.
Okay. Let's go.
I'm ready to do it.
Well, I don't know about commune. It's got to be near civilization somehow.
It'll be,
I'm not sitting in a tent, bitch.
We'll buy a bunch of land and we'll have houses like very, spaced out.
Yeah, because I scream, I get loud.
Hey.
This is enough for one day. You don't need to hear it every day.
But we have a good community of people we could start.
Oh, yeah, let's just do it.
Fuck it. We'll have our own school.
Yeah,
sorry. It'll be great.
Okay, what am I doing here?
I told Kate that. I'm like, let's start. She's like, oh, I could teach this. I'm like, oh, I could do that.
What am I? I have no use on this. I'm just going to be like the queen, like bring me food, teach my children.
You're going to be the one like kicking everyone's ass.
You're right. I'll do the security. I'll just fight any intruders. Oh my God. All right, let's get into this. Are you ready?
Okay, I am.
Today I am covering Nazi resistance leader Mildred Fish-Harnack. Do you know her?
Tell me.
I gotta tell you, she's
I feel like I know this name.
I read this whole thing about her. This whole thing about her is very Tina. I feel like she's very much you. And then she was dropped into Germany, and then Nazis started rising, and she was like, like she just became this incredible fucking underground leader that not a lot of people know about.
Oh, tell me everything.
The only American woman to be sentenced to death by Hitler. Like, how incredible is that?
I'm a little familiar with this, yes. I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, which is why I was like, I mean, a lot of it takes place in Germany, but I was like, no, she's American. This is covered. Okay.
Please.
So, Mildred
Fish. We can go international if we feel like it every now and then.
Thank you for letting me know, because I have so many stories I want to do from other countries.
We'll do a special, international episode.
Oh, that's a good idea. High five. All right, let's do this. All right. Mildred Fish was born and raised on the west side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to William C. Fish, who was a teacher, and Georgina Fish, which I love this last name, by the way.
Yes.
As a Pisces queen, and I love the fish. Okay. As a young woman, she learned to speak, write, and read in German.
Wow.
She initially attended West Division High School. After her father's death, the family then moved to Washington, D.C., and she finished her last year at Western High School. In 1919, she began studying at George Washington University and remained there for 2 years, using the family savings to pay the attendance fees. So very bright.
Yes.
Going to college at a time when a lot of women probably weren't.
Yeah.
Right? In 1921, she attended the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and during her first year, she worked for the Wisconsin State Journal as a film and drama critic to support, going to school and paying all the fees.
Yes, I love this.
She stayed at a rooming house popular with journalists and writers, and she left after facing some mild prejudice. I think it had to do with the being a woman. But she also then changed her major from journalism to humanities and then later to English literature.
Oh.
In 1922, she became a staff writer for Wisconsin Literary Magazine. This is all Tina. This is Tina. On June 22nd, 1925, she was awarded a Bachelor of Arts in Humanities. And she stayed on further to study for her Master's of Arts degree in English on August 16th, 1925. She got that. And then 1926, she studied and worked as a lecturer on German literature at the Milwaukee State Normal School. In the same year,
awesome.
I know. In the same year, she met Arvid Harnack, who was a Rockefeller Fellow from Germany.
Oh,
okay.
Well, she met a Rockefeller?
Yeah, well,
not
the fellow. No,
he
got the fellowship,
a fellowship,
like to come from Germany to study in America.
Yes. Oh, okay.
He had received his doctorate in law in 1924 and completed postgraduate studies in Hamburg and the London School of Economics before receiving the Rockefeller Scholarship to study in America. Wow. And after a brief love affair, they became engaged on June 6th, 1926. And they wed a month later on August 7th in a ceremony at her brother's farm near the village of Brooklyn, Wisconsin, after which Mildred used the hyphenated Fish-Harnack as her married name.
Look at her hyphenating.
Yeah, which was a big deal.
Her.
Yeah, which by then, by the way, that was like...
Yes!
So
I
have a thing here, it says letters. I meant to put this in here because I'd read this whole thing and it was like details from he was writing letters home to his family in Germany of but it was very German. I don't know if, a friend of mine described Germans to me, my friend Blake, who I used to work with, that they're very much like this. Very, to the point.
Yes.
Everything is run, everything's
There's no
planning. Yeah, no. And it was like, we wed at her brother's farm. The family is nice. Hope you get to meet her soon. We are so in love. It was very much like this whole thing.
Funny.
Yeah. So on September 28th, 1928, he had to return to Germany because his fellowship ended.
Okay.
And so she stayed in Baltimore and she taught English and literature at Goucher College in Baltimore.
Look at you, girl.
Isn't she amazing?
Yes.
let's see. So the professor who exerted the most influence over Fish-Harnack at Madison was William Ellery Leonard, who advised her when she was writing her senior thesis. And he was a nonconformist who believed in the Emersonian principle.
Oh, hey.
That, quote, nothing at last is sacred but the integrity of one's own mind.
Oh, bringing up the transcendentalism. I love it.
And he also had an abiding love of German culture. So she was like, you know,
this is nice.
Yeah. Nothing happens. They're just friends, but you know.
Yeah, no, I love this.
So he also was he had this very like grueling scrutiny of her that shaped her intellectual outlook, right? So he was just very influential on the way she thought about things.
I just wish I loved being in grad school. Like I loved like the conversations because you get into like, even though it's like English lit, there's like all this theory and there's all of the, I love it. Yeah. Like this it makes me want to like sit in a seminar, like table and just talk about stuff. Yeah,
but if you're raised a certain way, right now all of a sudden your mind is being expanded to all these other ideas, which is incredible. And it really influenced her. So for her, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Walt Whitman were two of the greatest advocates of American literature, and she met other German students and who studied sociology and who became lifelong friends, and who studied here but were German, right? Yeah. And she became friends with this woman, Greta Lorke, and this woman's important because she goes on to marry Adam Kookoff, who was a prominent anti-Nazi resistance leader, right? So she's meeting all these people in her life that are like shaping her, but also will become important later on when she goes to Germany. This is amazing. Yeah. So on June 2nd, 1929, she migrates to Jena in Germany, where she spent her first year living with the Harnack family, right? Her husband, she's reunited with her husband, who's over there, and she's living with the family. And in the same year, she received a grant from the German Academic Exchange Service that enabled her to start working on her doctorate on American literature at the University of Jena, but she found the University of Gießen to be more welcoming, right? Because also she's American, she's, you know, okay.
This is all, I'm loving every bit of this.
She's just a forever student.
I love it.
And teacher.
I know, but I want to be a student forever. Can I go back?
Oh my God, I would never want
You would
this.
never not. I would. I mean, there's so much I would just want to just study and talk about.
Oh my God.
No?
No.
Oh my God.
Give me the Netflix. Where's the Netflix? Okay, so her doctoral supervisor was Walter Fischer, who judged her to be an excellent lecturer and described her 1936 recommendation as showing great tact, by which he meant Fish-Harnack's tactful approach to the Nazis' increasing incursion into the university in 1931 and 1932. Oh. Right, so she gets starting to infiltrate into... Yeah, they see the government fall. And they see the Nazis starting to rise, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
And she's not like, "Hey, let's go back to America." She
stays. No, yeah. So by that time,
that's brave.
Yeah. So by that time, Fish-Harnack arrived at the Gießen, that university, but more than half the student population were vocal in their support of the Nazis, and therefore opponents of several faculty members. Right, like you just talked about, open ideas, open minds, open discussion. Well, that's not good for Nazis.
I know. Well, I mean, who did the Nazis go? I mean, Nazis went after teachers.
Yes.
They went after teachers. Yes.
And could you imagine being a teacher in a university and you're talking, and then there's kids that are in the students who are Nazis, and they're like, they'll probably report you.
Yeah, and imagine having a government that tries to enter schools and tell people what they can and can't teach, and then criminalize them for talking about ideas.
That sounds awful. And also doesn't sound familiar at all.
I mean...
Amongst those under suspicion were philosophy professor Ernst von Aster, a Marxist, and economic Friedrich Lenz. So I'm going to mess up all the German names and all the German things. I was trying to pronounce this on the phone last night, and I was like, I know I'm fucking this up right now. This episode should be like, Hillary fucks up German.
Forgive us. I mean, we are doing the best we can, YouTube. And podcast world.
So Aster's wife was Swedish novelist Hildur Dixlius.
Okay.
She became a good friend of Fish-Harnack and eventually became a house guest at their Berlin house. In the autumn of 1930, Fish-Harnack moved from Gießen to Berlin to be with her husband. And on February 1st, 1931, she was admitted to study at the University of Berlin on a fellowship from the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. Wow. She was then invited to hold a public lecture called romantic and marital love in the work of Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Oh my God.
I'm just out of her mind right now.
I know, because I'm just thinking of the time period that she's in and how sort of not very new, but much newer than to me. Yeah. That she's exploring these ideas. Yeah. So it's very exciting to me. So she gave this lecture at the Friedrich Wilhelm University, which allowed her to work as an assistant lecturer and lector on English and American literature. She taught courses on Emerson, Whitman, Theodore Dreiser, Sinclair Lewis, Thomas Hardy, and George Bernard Shaw. Woo! This is like Tina's hit list. She's like, yeah. Oh my, can I take her classes? Yeah. Oh my God. All the studying reminded me of her. I was just like, this is so Tina. I'm and it's so early muck. If you go back and listen to all of our early muck episodes, every episode Tina's like talking about a book. This reminds me of the quote from 1984. This reminds me of a quote, and I'm like, like Tina loves it. She's always bringing it back. I know. I'm just thinking. So she was popular with her students, and over three semesters, the enrollment to her course tripled. Wow! Although Fish-Harnack spent most of her time with her German family, she was an active member of the American expatriate community in Berlin, and she went to dances at the American Student Association. Was a member of the American Women's Club in Bellevue-Trasse. Oh my God! Later serving as its chairwoman. The Harnacks were popular at the American Church in Lohlendorfplatz, where they attended services. She sounds so fun. She's cool as fuck. And now let's get into like, not only is she this genius American speaking German, teaching literature, like, you know, she was translating books like into German, like novels, like she was. And which the Nazis, of course, don't like that. But she was like super badass, like on the surface. And what they did, and what people didn't know, is that underneath, she's also like a fucking spy. What? Like she's anti-Nazi. She's in this resistance group, and she's fucking passing secrets and shit. And she's like this fucking badass bitch. Tell me everything. All right. So leading up to and during the war, there was a group called Red Orchestra that tried to recruit new members, which was difficult due to the ratio of informers to proper recruits in the general populace, right? So like people like you didn't know. So they're trying to build this underground thing called Red Orchestra to build like people who are against the Nazis, but you didn't know, right? Like I could be talking to you and you're like, oh, she seems cool, but then you don't know, like, is she? Yeah. But also like how you don't know if someone's a Trump supporter. Yes. Like if they don't have that red hat on, you're like, I don't know, they're white and they might be a fucking Trump supporter. Like I don't know. Yeah, you're like, oh, so you're trying to drop hints? Gay. Yeah, like, what do you think about my shirt? Like, you're just, like, you don't know. So, a little bit about the Red Orchestra. They printed and distributed prohibited leaflets, posters, and stickers, hoping to incite civil disobedience. Woo! They aided Jews and resistance to escape the regime. They documented the atrocities of the Nazis and transmitted military intelligence to the Allies, which were, like, the Soviets at the time, too. Like, she was trying to get to the Soviet Union. Wow. Because they were also communists, which was not a bad thing at the time. Like communism became a bad thing later. Right. But they were trying to get to the Soviets. And I also had read this thing that the problem with all of this was that Soviets were a bunch of fucking pussies and like really didn't do anything with the information they were giving them. And so really put them in danger and didn't help them. So contrary to the legend, the Red Orchestra was neither directed by Soviet communists nor under a single leadership. So it was a bunch of people, right? It was a network of groups and individuals often operating independently because you don't know who you can trust, right? Oh my God. And to date, there's about 400 members that are known by name. So there's probably hundreds and hundreds more that we don't know, right? So the group devised a method to vet potential recruits, you'll love this, that would start with inviting them to a meeting with the approach of making the potential recruit believe the group were Nazis, right? And then they led the person to reveal their political attitude towards Nazis and through the conversation, like how it's like leaving little breadcrumbs of like saying something maybe like about Jews or whatever, like to see, is this person a safe person to get on our side? Harnack, the husband, would lend books to the potential recruit as a test of their intellect, as there was little chance of winning such people over if they did not understand politics, right? Wow. So he'd give them books. Oh my God. And like, hey, let's talk about this. Yeah. So at one meeting... can I be their friend? At one meeting, Fish-Harnack, she held a lecture on Kim by Rudyard Kipling to help the recruits understand colonialism, right? Like even this idea of like, can they understand like what this is? On March 3rd, 1938, William Dodd was replaced by Hugh Wilson. So Hugh Wilson was the secretary for the Soviets
the secretary like that would come to Germany. So William Dodd replaces him, and they actually become friends with this person. So they're also giving him information, right? Like they're constantly giving information that they can gather to people. Joining William Dodd as first secretary and monetary attaché at the U.S. Embassy was Donald Heath. And in 1937, Fish-Harnack met Louise Heath, Donald's wife, at the American Women's Club in Bellevue-Strasse.
Okay.
And they became friends. So now she's got this
connection,
and the husband becomes friend. Yeah.
Okay.
So they've got this connection.
Good.
So when the war started, the Heaths fled to Norway. But
when the fact that they're staying and putting this resistance, it's so easy for her to just go back to America.
That's true. That's why you said don't they just leave?
Yeah.
No, they don't. So they would come back and forth to Germany. The Heaths and Fish-Harnack would tutor her and tutor the son in American literature. So they were friendly, right? And at times, Harnack and Donald would meet in the countryside to exchange intelligence. But this became more and more increasingly dangerous.
Right.
And between December 1939 and March 1941, Donald Jr., the son, would be a courier between Fish-Harnack and the American embassy. So he would visit them every day and with a message from his mother or his dad for the Harnacks, and the Harnacks would return messages. So
wow.
Everybody was doing this covert shit.
Is he a kid at the time?
Yeah, he was probably in high school, I think.
Okay, that's still to send your son.
Yeah. He also delivered food from Denmark and Italy as well as medicine for the Harnacks because they can't do it. They can't go anywhere, right? They're undercover, they're hiding. Yeah. They're in hiding. And in 1940, the Harnacks came into contact with other resistance groups and began to cooperate with them. Of the meetings, Fish-Harnack, she wrote, quote, I saw it clearly before my eyes. From then on, our work not only implies the risk of losing our freedom, from now on, death is a possibility, end quote. Right? So she knows it's not going to work out. So they began having meetings twice a month. And some of the meetings were more fun than the other ones, but still it was these were all, to get anybody together was a dangerous thing. Yeah. On September 17th, 1940, the Harnacks met with the third secretary member of the Soviet embassy, Alexander Korotovkov, and Harnack decided to become a Soviet agent, right? The husband. Oh, and according to lawyer Wolfgang Havemann, from that point forward, Fish-Harnack, the wife, endured a persistent fear of being discovered, right? Now she's now we're in bed with them. Yes. So the discovery of... Wow. I know. The discovery of the illegal radio transmissions by Soviet agent Johann Wenzel by the German radio counterintelligence organization called Funke-Brüher and his capture by the Gestapo on June 29th, 1942 eventually revealed the members of the group and led to the Harnack's arrest, right? Oh, no. So his exposure of the radio codes enabled Referat 12, which was this group that would be listening to the radio signals. Oh, it was the cipher bureau, right, of the Funke-Brüher, that they had been tracking Red Orchestra radio transmissions since June 1941, and they were able to decipher their messages, right? So they get this guy. I think they probably tortured him a little bit. They figured out what all of these codes meant. They would say, the red herring on the third tree, and that meant, we're going to meet here, right? Yeah. They used that to decipher all these codes, which would end up helping them find where the Harnacks were. Right. So Wenzel's apartment in Brussels was found to contain a large number of coded messages, like I said, and when Wilhelm Verhoek, the principal cryptographer of the Funke-Brüher, received the ciphers from Wenzel, he was able to decipher some of the older messages. And on July 15th, 1942, he decrypted a message dated October 10th, 1941 that gave the locations of the cook-offs that I mentioned earlier and the apartments where everyone was. So,
how scary.
I know. On September 7th, 1942, the Harnacks were arrested by the Gestapo at the seaside village of Prelia, and Harnack was sentenced to death on December 19th after a 4-day trial before the Reichenkriegsgericht, which is, in English is the Reich Military Tribunal, and was executed 3 days later at the Platzensee prison in Berlin. So, which is what happened with all of them. All of them that were caught were murdered like this. So,
but where's the American embassy?
No. Listen, we're deep in this war now. This is it. They're not going in there.
And they can't take her out.
No. So Fish-Harnack was initially given 6 years in prison. This is our lady, our lovely lady. Yeah. But Adolf Hitler refused to endorse that sentence and ordered a new trial, which resulted in a death sentence on January 16th, 1943.
He just wanted to kill an American woman.
So Basically,
You know what I mean?
but also what I saw was that she had a lawyer and the husband had a lawyer, and her lawyer successfully in the first trial was able to convince the jury that she was just a housefrau. And it was her husband who was directing all of this, right? And I was like, yes, bitch, get that separate lawyer, right?
Yes.
Like, don't go to the same thing. And the jury believed, like, oh, she's just a poor American. She didn't know any better.
I mean,
But meanwhile, she's the brains behind this fucking operation.
But you gotta save your skin.
Yeah. So she was able to get, but then Adolf Hitler, you know.
He's like, no, I want this.
Yeah.
I want her to go down too.
So she got the death sentence on January 16th, 1943, and she was beheaded by a guillotine on February 16th, 1943, a month later.
Oh, God.
A guillotine in 1943?
Wow.
You got gas chambers.
Yeah.
You got fucking guns. Oh, he's making an example of her.
He's making it. Yeah.
So while she was in prison, Fish-Harnack translated. Yeah, she translated it.
I just the fear.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know. So while she was in prison, Fish-Harnack translated the poem Vermanaknis, which means bequest, by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
Yeah.
Her last words were purported to have been Ich hab Deutschland auch so geliebt, which translates to I loved Germany so much as well.
Oh my God.
That was her last thing she said before she was killed.
Terrible.
She was the only American woman executed on the direct orders of Adolf Hitler. After her execution, her body was released to the Humboldt University anatomy professor Hermine Stive to be dissected for his research into the effects of stress, such as awaiting execution on the menstrual cycle.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine this woman's body, this brilliant woman, is being dissected because she had her period while she was awaiting execution, and we wanted to see how it affected her body. Women, our bodies are fucking nothing.
God.
Our bodies are nothing to these motherfuckers.
Well, they did, but you know that they did all of that. They did. That was their whole thing of like just dissecting. It was all that research.
Yes.
Cuckoo.
Yeah. Oh, they were fucking insane. So after he finished, he gave what was left of her body to a friend of hers who had the remains buried in Berlin's Zeilendorf Cemetery. She's the only member of the Berlin-based anti-fascists whose burial site is actually known. When Leiser learned of the execution, she wrote the unfinished poem, quote, To and from the Guillotine, in remembrance of her friend.
God.
So a little bit of aftermath. I mean, you know,
like I feel like the U.S. didn't have anything to say.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. The United States government for decades concealed from the public Harnack's story because of her communist sympathies.
Oh, give me a break.
Right, because like right after this whole fucking Red Scare, right, and every anti-communist feel like communism became this thing, and it's like we can't have a hero who was a communist, right? God forbid. The counterintelligence corps of the U.S. Army acknowledged her work, leading to a large group secretly fighting the Nazi regime, but concluded that she deserved her punishment, considering her execution was justified.
That's from the U.S. government?
Yeah.
The U.S. government said that Adolf Hitler was justified in killing an American during the war.
Because she was a spy.
Oh.
Like what they tried before.
No, I'm sorry.
The cenotaph, so here's some things where she's been recognized.
Oh my God.
A cenotaph, which is, when I looked it up, is basically a large statue that has her name on it. For the Harnacks, it stands in the cemetery where she's buried. A Mildred Fish-Harnack Day is observed by schools in the U.S. state of Wisconsin.
Oh, well, that's good.
In 2006, a street in Berlin's Friedrichshain neighborhood was renamed Mildred Harnack Street. Mildred's alma mater, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, hosts the annual Mildred Fish-Harnack Human Rights and Democracy Lecture in her memory, which was established in 1994. That's incredible to me. That's going to make me cry. Because this woman would be the first one in line to fucking be up there talking, right? Like, this is like her bag. Like, that's something she would have loved. In 2019,
I hate the world so much.
In 2019, the city of Madison, Wisconsin, dedicated a sculpture to Harnack in Madison's Marshall Park.
Again,
so
like
now in the 2000s,
we don't learn.
Yeah,
history that we don't learn.
Yeah, isn't she incredible?
Oh my God!
Like, holy shit!
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that story. It's so sad.
It is terrible, but
I'm just shocked. Everything. God, everything is about a sound bite about for the government, like that you couldn't spin it some other way. I don't know. Give me a break. couldn't acknowledge this woman.
Yeah.
Plus, and to say that, and they still stand by that they're justified in that?
I don't know if they still, that's a good question. Maybe I should look that up. God. But at the time, that's what they said.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. government, look, think about all the stories we've done where they, you know, like even with that actress that I covered, where they, years later, were like, yeah we were trailing her. Yeah, we were spying on her. Yeah, we were tapping her phone. Yeah, we put some things in the paper about her. Like, it's the FBI is fucking out of their minds, you know?
Right. And then a lot of this too little too late, you know, or like, you know, years later, like, oh, our bad, or
P.S.
or here's this.
That's
like,
funny.
There's a award now.
Yeah, there's
70 years after you died.
There's a Republican former rep for the Florida State House who's not in office anymore. I don't know when he left office, but it's so funny because this guy retweeted, he put a tweet out. He's like, I'm so embarrassed to be that I was part of the Republican Party in Florida. Like, now he's a Democrat. Oh. And he's going on and on. Like, I think he like served recently. I have to look. But he's like, this is so embarrassing and da-da-da. And I was like, that's nice. I'll pass your apology along to the next rape victim who's got to give birth to the rapist's baby. I'm sure it'll make her feel better. And then I commented another thing, and I said, you know, seriously,
so amazing.
Like, seriously, fuck you. And here's the other thing I said. Any Republican now, like we've talked about before when we did the Trump thing, like you have, if you're a Republican in this state and you have served, you have maybe unknowingly led to what's happening here. Yes. Because you can't come out, like if you were embarrassed last year or the year before, did you publicly tell people that? Did you publicly write a letter to the editor or participate in an article that called people out and say to those guys, like, hey, you don't have to do this? Like, your apologies now don't do shit for LGBTQ kids who are going to be in the closet for a decade and can't come out. Like, that's what you're doing. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
The damage that's being done.
Because you know what?
The damage
before
that's
it was
being done.
Very public it's for where it would be okay to be anti-LGBTQ, it'd be okay to be anti-abortion. That those were like, you knew the Republican Party stood for that, right? Like, they weren't open, they weren't, right? That's just who they were. And you don't support that kind of party. But now it's an out loud attack, laws being passed. It's not just like, this is who we are. This is who we are, and this is how you're gonna fucking live too.
And I can't imagine in the state of Florida, all of these Republicans that hit the button don't have someone in their life who is gay.
Yeah.
Or part of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, they have, and how do you sit and face those people that are in your lives?
Nope.
I don't understand how they can face that. And I don't understand any person who is a Republican in the state of Florida who is going to continue to vote for these Republicans who have family members that are part of that community.
It's absolutely unforgivable.
Like, how do you, it's unforgivable. Like, you're hurting people in, like, you know, you don't care about the rest of the world. You can't even care about your own family and people in your life.
Yeah.
And they can't say, well, I vote because of this one issue. You can't do that anymore.
No.
You can't do that anymore because that one issue doesn't trump all of these other bad things that are going to hurt people.
Yeah.
Like, you have to step outside of that and say, we can't do this, and reclaim your party.
Yeah.
Because you guys are letting the loonies of this party win.
Yeah.
Because we always hear like, oh, this isn't my Republican Party. This isn't. Well, if it's not your Republican Party, then take it back.
Yeah. Yes.
Take it back.
Yes. Just like the Democrats have to do.
Come on.
The Democrats have to. The progressives in this party.
We need
have to come in and take over the party.
We have to take over the party.
You know, and it's so funny because being a part of a caucus and then being at that state caucus conference last weekend,